go ahead and take a look at dates and times. So why? Because, well, just about everything uses a date and time at some point. Let's go ahead and let's do some include. So I'm going to include QDate. This is what I love about Q. It's very intuitive. You just put the letter Q and then whatever you want, and usually that's the name of the class. So for example, if I want time, I would do include QTime. Now there is a third class I want to touch on, which is a combination of date and time. Of course, that would be named QDatetime. I'm going to include QDatetime. All of those do exactly what they sound like they do. So let's drop in here and let's examine the QDate. We'll call this today, and we want to go QDate, and our initial value is going to be the current date. Again, I would love to go into a lengthy 4-hour-long conversation about this, but it's just very simple the way this works. Now that we've got today, let's go ahead and pump that out in QInfo. Keyboard's not helping me out today for some reason. You ever have just one of those days where no matter how you try to type, your keyboard's just like, nope, not today. All right, let's save and run here. And you can see there is a current date. Now, if you're from the United States and you're not used to programming, this may look really bizarre because we're used to the opposite. This is the year, the month, and the day. We're used to here in the States, the day, month, year. Let's go ahead and close that. Now let's say we wanted to change that. We could just simply say .add days. You notice how you have add days, add months, add years. They all do exactly what they sound like. So we're going to say add days, and we're going to add 1 day. You could, special note, do a negative number to go backwards in time, but I'm going to just do a positive number and go forward. So I want to know what tomorrow's date is. Save and run. And tomorrow will be 2021, March 4th. Pretty cool the way that works. It's just extremely easy to work with. And we can, of course, if we wanted to, let's go ahead and add years. And let's add, what is the date 20 years from now? 20 years from now, I should be like resting peacefully on my couch watching Days of Our Lives. But anyways, it will be 2041, March 3rd. So it's very easy to manipulate using the QDate class. Now, special note, we can also format this. You notice how I kind of nitpicked about how it was in the wrong format. So there's a few different formats, and this is, and I'm going to put it here, different than Qt5. So special note there. They have changed this, so if you're running Qt5 code and you're trying to migrate, this is something that's going to be different. I'm going to say QInfo, and I want the ISO date. This is just a date format, but we're going to say today, and we want toString. And notice how we can do a QDate format. So I'm going to say Qt date format, and then we have some options here: ISO with milliseconds, RFC, and text. So I'm just going to do ISO date, and I'm going to do each one of these just so you can see the differences here. And let's go with the RFC date. I'm not going to do the ISO milliseconds. And then let's go with the text date. Save, run. Let's see what this looks like here. So our ISO date is, well, what we've been working with. The RFC date is this, and the text version is this. And there's other ways to expand upon that. Again, we're just kind of hitting at a very high level what you can do with this bad boy. Now, that being said, I want to put out, if my notes will cooperate with me here, the Qt5 version of this. This is what you would do for Qt5. That's kind of gone the way of the dinosaur. There's no system local date anymore. They kind of prefer the ISO date. Now, from here, we can just say, let's work with QTime. So I'm going to say QTime now equals QTime. And you're going to see a definite pattern here because it's very, very similar. Current time. And then from here, you guessed it, it's shockingly similar. We can do just about anything we want to do. We could say like now, and then you can add milliseconds, add seconds, things like that. You can get the minute, the seconds, and all this other stuff, to string, from string, all these great things are baked right into here. Now you notice how it's add seconds. There's no add minutes or add hours. So you gotta be a little careful there. But we can take this, just copy this, and just show you just how easy this is. We're gonna swap that variable out. And there you go. There's the time. So we got the ISO. I should change that to ISO time, RFC time, and the text date. This is actually pretty cool, but it's also ridiculously easy is the point I'm really driving home here. So let's just look at this and say cute, and we can do like a time. See if there's a time format. You'll notice there is no time format. So you're a little bit limited, but you can really do this in any way you want. The main fundamental point here, though, is that it is ridiculously easy. Now, let's just go ahead and dive into the QDatetime. And let's call this current. And this is going to be, you guessed it, the QDatetime. And we want the current date time. I'm going to scroll down a smidge here, get some screen real estate. Now that we've got this, it's, well, you guessed it, just ridiculously easy to work with. I'm just going to QInfo this out and say, what is the current? So this is, well, quite boring, unfortunately. So let's spice things up a little bit here. What I want to do is make a new QDatetime. Let's call this expire. And this is going to be the current date time. And we're going to add 45 days. So think of this like a software limitation. You ever get like that, what is it called, shareware, where you have to buy it within 45 days or something like that. I think usually it's 30 days, but that's basically what we're doing here. So we're going to check to see when this actually expires. So let's go QInfo. And we're going to expire on this date. Let's save and run, and let's see this in action here. So we're going to expire 45 days from now, and you notice the date is, well, 45 days from the date of this recording. And it also gives me the time and the time zone that I'm actually in, and this is our local time. Notice how when I did date formats, it wasn't coming up with a time format, but there are other things you can work with here is the point I'm trying to make. So if you want an expanded version, you would look at like the cute local time. That being said, all of that's in the documentation, so I'm not going to have a lengthy conversation about that. You can just quite simply go on to anything you want, press F1, and it's all right there in the documentation. And it's very, very lengthy documentation because, as you might guess, dates and times get very, very complex very, very quickly. And you can format these in any variety or array that you really want. I mean, the sky's the limit on what you want to do. Now, that being said, toString is probably going to be the most famous thing you're going to work with, and you want a string format if you want any custom formatting whatsoever, and then you have to give it the custom format codes. All right, now back to our expiration example. Let's do some simple logic here. So we're going to say if the current is greater than the expiration date, well, you guessed it. We need to tell the user, you are expired. Please buy our software or do whatever it is was supposed to happen. Then we can just simply go otherwise, or in this case, else. We want to let them know that, hey, this is not expired. So let's go ahead, save, run, and let's see. Ah, not expired. Thank goodness I get to keep using this awesome program.